Oh, go live. All right, yeah. Okay. So we
Okay.
should be live in a minute. We'll just wait. Hello, are we live? All right, we've got to wait another minute. It won't let me go live before.
Before 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I didn't know
Right.
that. I thought I could go live at any time.
All right.
But yeah, it's so complicated.
I
But
know,
I'm
I bet.
thinking it's so weird as well because I can see me 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I also can see us now, and it just really confuses me. It's like there's a lag and everything.
Yeah.
Hello, are we live? Okay.
Oh, that's echoey.
Yeah, it's because you have to watch yourself and turn the sound off because it'll repeat
All
itself.
right. Okay.
So guys, we've got Sally
Howarth.
Howard, and we're going to talk about Sally's running journey and also Lakeland's. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep. I'm Sally Howarth. I live in Manchester, which is as flat as you can get for running, but I love running in the trails and the mountains. Not always done that. I actually first, do you want me to just go into that? I first started running.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
first started running back in 2003. I entered the first ever Manchester 10K. Someone's just knocked on my door. I entered the first ever Manchester 10K literally 2 weeks before it. So it wasn't as popular as it is now. Just hang on a sec. Steve.
It's okay.
It's all
Do you want to
right.
go and answer it?
Just let me, I think
Quickly.
it's one of my grandchildren. Just hang on a sec.
Okay.
All right.
So guys, we're waiting for Sally again. How's everyone going? How's your training going? And has anyone got anything coming up?
It's all right. Right, I'm back. Sorry. My family, my daughter lives next door but one, and the grandchild couldn't get in the house, so she's just come for the key. So sorry about that. So yes, I started running in 2003 when I entered the first ever Manchester 10K. And now, I mean, you have to enter it months in advance. That kind of got me into the running. I was already a vet. I was over 35. But that kind of got me into running. I did that a couple of years, and then I did the Great North Run a couple of times, and then I finally joined my local club, which is actually a track and field club. So I competed for those and different league matches and stuff like that a few times. So over the years, I've done like 5Ks and everything. I've done 400 meters on the track. In fact, I've done 100-meter races on the track. But then I got into the trail running. But one year, my neighbour, who was a friend, sadly died of cancer, and I wanted to do something that was a bit challenging to raise money for the local hospice where he'd lived out his last few weeks. And I was thinking of a triathlon because I can't swim.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, that'd be a challenge. But then my friend suggested this 50 miler in the Lake District, and I thought, oh well, yeah, that sounds pretty challenging. I'd done some marathons up till then, so I thought, yeah, I'll give that a go. So, and that was the Lakeland 50, which was my first ultra. But it's funny because when I was doing like the 5Ks and the 10Ks and everything, people I knew were doing marathons, and they'd say, oh, you want to get into doing marathons? And I'm like, oh no, I admire you for doing a marathon because I don't think I could. And then I did my first marathon, which was Windermere. So it was quite a tough one to start your marathon thing on. So I did that, and then I got hooked on doing marathons, so I've done quite a few of those. And then I had a friend who was like, oh, you want to get into ultras? And I'm like, oh no, I admire you for doing that, but I don't think I could. And here I am quite a number of years later. I think I've done over 20 odd ultras now, perhaps touching 30. I can't quite remember. So yeah, so that's me.
So when was your first ultra?
So my first ultra was 2010, the Lakeland 50. And I really just did not know what to expect. I mean, I'd gone on some of the recce's, which I do recommend people do if they can. But also because I only live sort of an hour and a half-ish away, 2 hours maximum from the Lake District, I could get up there myself. So I used to go with a couple of my friends, and we'd go and recce the route. So I knew it very well. I knew it pretty well. So going into, and the road book's obviously brilliant as well. But so I did have that advantage. And I know a lot of people struggle, obviously, to get to the lakes to do those recce's, but I do recommend it. And plus you meet other people that are doing the same thing. So, you know, you make new friends, if you like. So I finished that in about 13 hours, kind of on target to finish a bit sooner, but from Ambleside, you're going into the night, and I'd kind of fallen in with some other people, and we walked a lot of the last section.
Yeah.
So, but I was really chuffed with it. And then I thought, right, okay, what's the next thing? And I did other little ultras in between, but then I entered the 100 for the following year, 2011. Unfortunately, I couldn't eat. I really just couldn't eat. It was a really, really, really hot year that year.
Yeah.
And I was struggling. I got up most of the way up Fusedale, which is after the Howtown checkpoint. And I was just leaning. I had my poles with me by this point, and I was just leaning on my poles and just shuffling along, and then having to stop. And some guy went past me, and he said, if you were my partner, I'd be telling you to pull out. And I think it just put the seed there. And I lay down in the grass for a bit at the side. And then I thought, I can't stay here because I'm just going to get sunstroke, because it really was hot. So I decided, yeah, I'm going to have to pull out, because I just don't think I'm going to get through another night of being like this. Unfortunately, 3 of my friends were in the Lakeland 50 that year, and they were each, and one of them was coming up Fusedale as I was coming down, and each time I saw one of them, I just burst into tears. Yeah. I was so heartbroken about not being able to complete it. And there is a funny story which I can tell you later about me coming down that particular hillside, because it's where I met Steve, my partner.
All right.
Yeah, sort of met him, but anyway, yeah, so I had to pull out that year, and I was absolutely gutted. And when I was at the school the next day, and I saw Mark Lathwaite, I said, I'm not entering it again. I'm never attempting it again. I don't think I can do it. I just can't do it. And he was like, really? And I said, no, I'm just going to enter the 50 again next year. And he was like, Anyway, in 2012, well, come September, when you had to hit that enter button, I entered the 100, and in 2012, I'm happy to say, I did actually complete it.
Well, I've got a funny story about that, because same thing happened when I did Chester 100, and you know Laura from GB Ultra.
Yeah.
She won't remember this, but she went, "You'll enter it again," and I turned around to her, I went, "I am going to enter it again." I was like, it's not beating me, because I was so upset, obviously, because I was just DNF'd. It's weird how, like, you don't want to do it, but then you decide to do it.
Yeah.
Straight after.
Yeah, I think you sleep on it.
Yeah.
You sleep on it, and yeah, you sort of think, oh, I can't. It's unfinished business.
Yeah.
As to say. So yeah, so I did go back, and everything went right for me, really. And so I'm actually on the first Lakeland video I think they ever did. I got interviewed at Buttermere, and this was a pretty soggy year, this particular year. It rained a hell of a lot. My feet were soaked. I was having problems with my feet, and I mentioned it on the video, and I put, it's a bit wet out there. And so there's a certain friend of ours called Mike Churchard, who takes the mickey out of me every time it's raining somewhere we're on a race, it's like, it's a bit wet out there, isn't it, Sal? You know, because but it was a complete contrast to the year before.
Yeah,
but
I have not had a bad weather experience yet, and it's going to happen this year. It's been far too long to have okay weather.
So go on.
Sorry. So what time did you do Lakeland 100? I'm just wondering.
33 hours, 42 minutes, I think it was. I've got it etched on the back of my medal. I was so proud of it. I was so proud of actually doing it. I got it engraved on the back of my medal. So it's about 33 hours and 42 minutes and 43 seconds, something like that. Yeah. So I was quite pleased with that because I'd kind of aimed for 36 minutes. 36 minutes, sorry, because the phone's going off as well, distracting me. 36 hours I'd aimed for. And I remember I was running at one point with this other couple that were running, and I said, well, it's really hard to say, because people say, well, how long do you think it'll take you? And you've got no idea.
I know, my mum's always like that.
Yeah, how can you answer it? You've never done it. You don't know what you're going to get on the day and all that. So it's a really hard one, but I sort of had it in my head, maybe 36 hours. And this couple said at the time, well, you're on target. So that was quite early on in the race. Stupidly, because now I would have all the backup and the chargers and everything, but my watch died, my phone died. So I had no concept of time for the biggest part of the event as I'm going round. And when I got to Kentmere, Mark Laithwaite was there, and he was like, yay, you've done it, you know. And I said, have I? I said, you know, am I going to do it in time? Because I'd been running with a guy for some part of it, and he was like a bit Mr. Negative. He kept saying, looking at his watch and going, we're going to get cut out, we're going to get cut off, you know, we're not going to make the cut-offs and all this. And I'm like, so when I got to Kentmere, I had no idea what time it was. And Mark was like, even if you crawl, you're going to do it. So, you know, I was like, yes, I'm going to do this. It's such a great feeling when you do.
Yeah, because like you've got to have quite a positive outlook when you're doing these things, because if you get cut off, you get cut off. There's no point in concentrating about that, because you can go faster if you've got a positive mental attitude, as if you're thinking negative, obviously.
Well, that's it. I mean, maybe in 2011 I could have done it, but I think, you know, this guy sort of, I was struggling, to be fair, but this guy kind of saying, oh, I'd be telling you to pull out. It puts that in your mind, and then you think, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be capable of doing it. But yes, if you have little chats to yourself, I mean, you can look on the Facebook and people ask for opinions and, you know, advice and everything. But I mean, what, you know, there's all great bits of advice. Yes, think positive. Don't give up on yourself. If you're struggling when you're going into a checkpoint, you think it's too easy to pull out at a checkpoint, you know, try not to pull out at that checkpoint. Try to kick yourself back out of it and keep moving. And even if you're not going particularly fast, just keep moving. And then you never know, because sometimes you can have a bad spell, and then half an hour later you're out of it. You know, you've had a bit of a refresh, you've had a bit of food, whatever, a bit of company in the checkpoint, and then you come out and you just might snap out of that, and then off you go again. And I mean, I always say, focus on checkpoint to checkpoint. Don't think of the bigger picture. Don't think, oh my God, I've still got like 50 miles left or whatever. Just think, oh, I've only got 6 miles to the next checkpoint. I've only got 10 miles to the next one after that. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, break it down
bit by bit. Yeah, but I mean, I think I'm not fast, you know, but I think it's mental attitude over your sort of physical side of it. And some, I mean, obviously you've got to be physically fit for these things, but it's your mental attitude as well that will really get you round. And if you can buddy up with someone, if you can buddy up and that helps you along, then that's brilliant. I found more so with the 100, because people say, well, what do you think about, and what would you do and all, and just do you run with people, and aren't you scared running in the night? I'm quite a solitary runner. in some respects. I do actually like running on my own and being with my own thoughts. But what's nice about the 100 is that the runners around you just changes so much for one reason and another. So you might actually fall in with someone and run with quite a few miles with them and have a lot of conversation going, and then you might be quite a few miles on your own, and then next thing you're with someone else. So that breaks it down as well, and that's quite nice. So yeah, I just like going at my own pace, I think.
Yeah, I found that when I did Leeds to Liverpool, I kind of ran with people and then didn't run with people, as you just tend to, because you kind of get a bit bored and lonely, but then you've got to like accept that you've got to be on your own to a point. So it's like I felt really rude leaving people, but obviously like we're all on our own race.
Yes, you have got to do your own race, and yes, I've done that in events. I mean, these that I fell in with on the Lakeland 50, it sounds sad, but when we got to Ambleside checkpoint, there was a couple of guys and a married couple, and they all had family at the checkpoint. So they were like spending ages at the checkpoint chatting and you know, spending a bit of time with the family before they moved on, because we still had plenty of time, and I had no one. So I was just like, I want to get going, but I didn't want to leave them, because I'd just spent the last probably about 15-20 miles with them from Mardale, really. So I didn't want to leave them then, you know. But you have got to think, this is me, this is my event, and this is what I've got to do, and just do your own thing, really.
Because I try not to stop at the checkpoints as much as possible, because you get cold and like but I think it's better just to keep moving as much as possible, just because once you stop, it can be hard to get back into it, kind of thing.
It can, and especially if it's a checkpoint you've gone into at night. And if the weather is pretty poor, you know, you've gone into it and you sort of like, it might be warm. And I mean, let's face it, on the Lakeland, the checkpoints are just buzzing. You know, there's like party atmosphere and everything. And you can just get a little bit too enveloped in that and think, I don't want to go back out there. I don't know. So I'm like that. I'm like you. I'm just in the checkpoint, do what I need to do, you know, top up water bottles, have a drink at the checkpoint, have something to eat, and then sort your kit out if you need to, and then move on as quickly as possible. That doesn't always work for other people, but that's how it works for me. So
So what is your training like? Your training schedule like?
Again, that's something, I'm just a bit hit and miss these days. I used to be very structured with my training. But it's something people ask a lot as well, is, oh, right, when you're training for something like that, you must be cramming the miles in the week, you know, you must be doing like 100 miles a week. No, that's, you know, you don't need to. I think you have to do your quality runs. You have to certainly do back-to-back runs. I do thoroughly recommend kind of going out for 4 or 5 hours on a Saturday, followed by maybe 3 or so on a Sunday. I do recommend that in terrain that's going to be similar to what you're doing. But I found, certainly when I was training for the 100, and since then I've let it go a little bit these days, I used to do circuits as well. So you know,
circuit training.
And I could do that in my house. I have a lot of you know, I've got weights, and you can use stuff in your house. You don't have to actually even go out your door to a session to do it. And I'd do like an hour circuit session, and I'd do a minute on sort of an exercise like weights and bicep dips, plank, lunges, and then a minute sort of more activity. I've got like a little mini trampoline, and I'd do running on that, or high knees on it, and star jumps and stuff. So that I found that beneficial as well.
So what I mean, that's a massive concept. People tend to think you have to go somewhere to exercise, but you can actually do it from home with not a lot of equipment, no equipment, because bodyweight exercises is totally obviously a valid form of exercise. And I feel like in lockdown, people kind of realised that because we couldn't use the equipment and we was using a lot of like bands and stuff like that because we couldn't get equipment, and obviously we was all scared for money. Well, a lot of us were scared for money.
Yeah.
Is there any equipment you would recommend?
I do like my mini trampoline. I'll be honest with you, when I do circuits, and I think as well, I mean, you could do running on the spot, you know, as you're in between exercise, you could do running on the spot and skipping. But I think with the trampoline, because it's got that bit of a give in it, I found that good. Set of dumbbells and maybe kettlebells. That's about all I use. And like you say, it's your own body weight. I mean, like, you've got if people have got a step or a stair, most people have got stairs, bottom step, you know, it's you can do a lot on that. You can do your bicep ones, your step ups, even run up and down the stairs a few times, you know, just to that's your hill training then, running up and down the stairs. And I've got one of those big blow up ball things that you can do exercises on as well. But I've not really got a lot else other than that.
Is there any kit you would recommend for running, or like what running poles you have? Vest?
No, I mean, in the summer I tend to just run in a vest. You've got to be obviously careful of what type of vest it is when you're wearing your pack, because you could get rubs in places that you don't really want rubs. And what people wear, again, it's one of those questions, what suits one doesn't suit all. Like trainers, shoes, I at the minute, I just absolutely value my my Sportiva Raptors. They're brilliant for me, but they might not suit other people. People, they're innovates. I can't wear innovates. I have quite wide feet, so innovates just kill my feet. But other people swear by them, you know, and probably wouldn't go with the Sportivas, but it's trial and error, a lot of it, and I know that can be an expensive thing to do, you know, because shoes don't come cheap and packs don't come cheap. I've worn packs, I'm quite small in the back, really. I've worn packs that I've been literally bleeding on my back, you know, it's lower back and stuff because the pack's just been too long for me. So you've got to try these things, really. And like I say, what suits one doesn't always suit another. But just think about when you are wearing a pack and the clothes you're wearing, just think about where you might rub with things. You know, you've got to be comfy in it, because you're going to be wearing it an awful long time. And that's the same for clothes, because obviously you get chafing in shorts and stuff like that. So I'm lucky. I don't really suffer too much. So I can't advise on what you would use for chafing, but obviously there's lots of advice out there that people give for that, but I don't really suffer too much with it.
What nutrition do you use? Do you use gels, or because I don't use, well, I kind of
I do, I started on gels when I was doing marathons, and really I can't stomach them. They're just nutrition for me, that's an issue I've had since completing the Lakeland 100. I have entered it a few more times. Twice I've had to pull out because of being sick, and I mean literally throwing up. And it's happened to me in a lot of races. I can kind of get through sort of 50 miles if I've started being sick at 20 to 30. I can struggle on, but the 100, when you start being sick at 30-40 miles, you've still got a hell of a long way to go. So I struggled a little bit with my nutrition. I found things that worked for me, and then come event day, they don't. But what I've hit on more, this last year, is active root ginger. Now, I've tried all sorts of different drinks as well, because it gets to the point where I can't even keep water down sometimes. But active root ginger, and because obviously ginger can settle your stomach too. So I bought that, and I used it before the Lakeland 50 last year. Now, the year before on the Lakeland 50, I was throwing up from Kentmere, I used it last year, and the only time I started to feel ropey was at the final checkpoint at Dilberthwaite, which I thought, well, that's a plus. But I think as well, I've been one of those that even though I carry a lot of my own food, it tends to sit in my pack, and I'll think, I'll just wait till I get to the next checkpoint. I'll just wait till then, you know. The next checkpoint might only be 5 or so miles, but you've got a lot of tough terrain in between that. So you're out a lot longer than you would on a road 5 miles. So I've realised I really have to snack in between, because what happens is I end up, my stomach just literally throws the food straight back out that I try and eat. So, I mean, I'm entered for the 100 this year, and fingers crossed, what I've been trying, and I've been trying it on a few longer ones, and I'll try it on Manchester to Liverpool this Friday, is this active root ginger, and keep nibbling at something to eat. You know those little yogurts in a tube? I think they are called fronts or tubes or something like that. I quite like those. Is it just to put something in your stomach, or just to, like these sea salt crackers I found seem to be okay lately. I've tried all sorts of different foods, and I used to try the gels and everything. I've tried the different drinks, and they've just ended up not working for me.
Because I nearly was sick once on Manchester 100, and anything I was putting in my mouth was making me heave before even trying to swallow it. And it just got really hard, because you're like, I need to eat, but I can't eat. But I don't want to be sick, and I don't want to do this and that. And it was just awful. And I just remember thinking, try to eat something and being like even the thought of it just made me feel sick.
It's not nice. And I think some people sort of think that, well, you've been sick, you feel all right now, you'll get on with it now, you know, you brought it up, but it's not, it doesn't work that way for me, and it obviously sounds like it wouldn't work that way for you. It's just, once I start, I don't stop. I mean, there's a bit of a joke between me and my friends that there's not many areas of the Lake District that I haven't been sick in. I nearly called it Lake Sick District. Sick Trick. Which is appropriate, honestly. It's just, and it's not just the lakes. I mean, I've done other events where it's almost pulled me out of them. They don't do this race anymore, 3 Rings of Shap. It was an LDWA event. And I was in the Run Further Championships, and I was on target for getting a medal. And you have to do three different distances. You have to do small, short, medium, and long. And then another one of your choice. And 3 Rings of Shap was my long one, so it's a 100k. And after the second ring, I started to feel really sick, and I'd sort of fallen in on that ring with these 2 guys, and I was almost tempted not to go out on the thing, because every ring you come back to where you started and where you would finish. And it was really hard to drag myself out of there, but I went, and I was throwing up on that big style. Couldn't keep fluid down or anything, but I did actually manage to finish it. And my mate met me, was there at the finish, and I had some Lucozade, and I said, I just was then craving like a fizzy drink, and I said, oh, could you just get me that Lucozade? And I got to the toilet, and it went everywhere. I couldn't even, I thought it might sound my stomach, and it really didn't. But it's you suffer for, it's fun.
We do this because it's fun. What do you take electrolytes?
Again, I used to do the 4 to 1. And I think noon, I've tried all that lot. But certainly the ones that have got a bit of flavour in, I can start off fine with them. But by the time that sickness kicks in, I just can't even stomach those. The 4 to 1, I used to go for, I think it was a lemon flavour or something. It was only quite a mild flavour, but that's what I was using on the Shap one. And by the end of it, my stomach was just, you're not having it. You know, it's just, and it's really bad, because obviously if you can't, I mean, you'd struggle on the distance anyway, not eating, but if you can't keep any fluid down, it's just game over sometimes. So I'm hoping that this ginger, because I've been trialing it for over a year now, or just over a year, so I'm hoping that will really work for me.
Yeah. Is that the active root one?
Active root ginger. And I recommend it to people to try now, you know. The quantity that it says to use in your 500 ml of water, I use a little bit less, so it's not a stronger flavour.
Yeah.
But it does seem to work.
Yeah.
So
have you got any tips or advice on
for doing the 100 for you?
Yeah, or just in general?
In general. I always say just go and enjoy. I know, you know, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna expect pain. I would, if you know you're doing an event where you're going to be running in the night, go and practice that, because I think some people don't, and then it's a bit of a shock. You know, they're putting the head torch on and they're at night, and it's all different. I love running with a head torch on in the hills. I think it's great. I don't think you can beat it, to be quite honest with you. Practice on the terrain. So if it's a hilly one you're doing, it's, you know, it's obvious you've got to go out and practice on the hills.
Yeah.
If it's a road ultra, obviously practice on the roads. It's, you know, it's not rocket science really in some respects. Yeah.
How's the navigation? Is it easy to get
I've got better over the years with my navigation. I'll be honest with you, when I started, I was a bit like, I don't know what I'm doing. Obviously, most people have that facility on a phone or a watch, so the rules by that. But I don't think you can be getting to know your map and compass either, because technology can fail. And whilst it's great, I can't be doing with people got their heads just permanently down looking at the phone rather than, you know, what's going on around them and everything. I think you've got to learn. You've got to learn it all. Yes, I think GPXs are absolutely great, but I think you've got to know your map and compass as well, and what's around you, and keep a focus on that. And I mean, the road book, sort of keep an idea where you are on that. Keep an idea where you are on your map. Yeah. Go on courses. I mean, these courses, I did the Fell Runners navigation course. You know, they're invaluable.
Yeah.
And
I feel like map reading is definitely something I never thought I would ever do in my life, and now I can do it. And I don't know when I learned how to read a map, but I only realised I did this year when I was like, put this map together, and I was like, understood it. It was really complicated. Has anyone got any questions? Put them in the comments, obviously, and we can ask them. I think, but there's nothing else for me to ask. I think you covered everything really well.
Right. Shall I tell you my little story how I met Steve? Because I tell people this story. So Lakeland 100, I'm pulling out in the 2011 event, and he's in the 50, so he's going up the hill as I'm coming down, and he thought, oh, she's going the wrong way. And then I got to him, and he asked me. I do remember a lot of people asked me if I was okay, because obviously I was crying. No shame in crying.
We all cried at some point.
Yes. So, and he asked me if I was okay, and he thought, oh, she looks all right. Anyway, that was that. Nothing happened. 2012, I'm in the Lakeland 100 again, and he's in the Lakeland 100 too, but we didn't realise at the time. And I was actually a little bit ahead of him till Buttermere, where he overtook me because I was being interviewed on the video, and he overtook me, and then he saw me at the finish. I came in, I was the next person behind him at the finish, so he saw me finish 20 minutes after him, and he thought, oh, that's that girl. So he added me as a friend on Facebook. Hey, well done for social media, eh? And then I think it was the following year we actually met up and did a run together. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So there you go. It was the Lakeland that brought us together.
And also, first time I saw you, was crying. That's like,
I know, crying my eyes out.
That's like such a weird introduction, I guess. But
yeah.
you had to meet somehow.
But it's good because obviously we've got the same sort of hobby, if you like.
Yeah. Someone asked, can you recommend an app you can use for navigation?
An app for navigation. I've actually got Sunto on my phone, even though I don't have a Sunto watch. Steve has a Sunto watch on the app, but I've got the Sunto app, and that's pretty good. It's pretty accurate, and you don't need obviously you don't always need the the Wi-Fi or whatever to be using it. So the signal. So it's that's quite a good one to use. I've followed routes on that at times.
I had to download that actually.
Sunto, yeah, SUU, I think it is NTO. But yeah, that's quite a good one. I mean, I've got my watch as well. I've got a Chorus, because a lot of people ask about what watches, and people have Garmin's and stuff like that. But I've got a Chorus watch, but mine's a Pace. And you can actually the next one up, which I think is the Apex, you can actually get maps for that as well on your phone, and it links to your watch as well, so if you go off the route it'll beep on your watch. But my watch is quite an old one, so it doesn't do it, but I do recommend the Chorus watches because the battery on it lasts quite a long time. That's a good one. But yeah, Sunto, I have that on my phone that you can use.
I've never heard of that brand. So I'm gonna have a look. Also, I've actually just realized I've not put my map on my watch for M12 on Friday. So
have you not? Well, there you go.
that's something I'm gonna have to do in a minute, because I will forget, and sometimes it doesn't update on my watch, so I'm going to do that now, so it's definitely right. The last couple of races I've done, I've just been really lost.
Actually, that's a good point, because the GPX file for that, when you go on it, it wants you to put you on something like outdoor thing. Is that do you have to actually use that? Because I have looked into putting it on my phone.
No, but I just download it.
It wouldn't download. It was making me sign up to something different. It wouldn't let me put it onto my Sunto.
I don't know if I had to sign up. I've not done it for a while, but it is a bit finger. So that's something I'll have to have a look at in a minute. So I guess that's it, because all the questions gone. Thanks for coming on, Sally.
No worries.
I'm not sure if you settled some nerves to Lakeland or maybe more scared. At least I'll be prepared.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I'll give you a pep talk on Friday as well. No, you'll be fine. Honestly, just go and enjoy it. It's such a brilliant event as well. It's such a well supported event. The marshals, Mark himself and his Uncle Terry, and all his team and all the marshals, they're absolutely fantastic. Can't fault them. They're there to help you out. The checkpoints are just well manned. They're well stocked, and it's a great atmosphere, and it's a great thing to be a part of, honestly. But like I say, checkpoint to checkpoint, think about your eating and your sleeping strategy going up to it. Because it's really hard when you get there say if you're getting there Friday morning. Well, we'll be getting there Friday morning probably to register. Make sure you take your kit to kit check. People don't take the kit to kit check. And be thorough. You got everything in it.
How long did it take you to register? I can imagine it being a bit longer than a lot of other races.
A little while, and I mean, obviously you're in the marquee, so if it's hot, think about that, because you're in the marquee a little while. It's not too bad, but I mean, they are thorough. They check everything on the kit list, so make sure you've got it all there. Just don't have it all packed up in your backpack. Take it in a carrier bag with your backpack.
And then put it in there.
And then put it in there afterwards, because they will want to see everything. And so people have it all nicely, packed up in the backpack and have to take it all out. Do that. Nothing else to think there. But yes, if you're camping on the field, it can be noisy. So think about if you're going to be able to rest, if you're going to be able to sleep in the day, because don't forget, obviously it's an evening start.
I know I'm dead weird, and I'm not sure if I like that better. Because I feel like how you could go and sleep in there, like.
I know, and I struggle with that. I struggle. So chances are you're going to sleep Thursday night. Well, you might not even sleep that well Thursday night because it'll be on your mind and you'll be all hyper about it and excited.
Yeah.
And then you might not be able to sleep Friday day, and then you're certainly going to go through one night lack of sleep and then another night. So you've got to consider that too.
Yeah.
Some people, when they've got plenty of time on the hands, they do have a 5-minute kip at checkpoints. Some checkpoints. I don't
know if I'd be able to do that. I struggle sleeping anyway.
I'm terrible. I know I couldn't do it. I'd just be too conscious of the noise.
I'm a bit like, because I'm on such a thing with ADHD. I'm like, do I take it because it's a stimulant, or do I not take it? I don't want to have like a jittery heart.
Yeah.
Because I'm like coming up.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit like, don't have a clue what I'm going to do with that.
Yeah.
Hopefully I should learn more on Friday.
Yeah.
Now. But
that's why you do these other events leading up to it, is to sort of trial these things out and see how it works for you. So yeah.
Right, so it was nice to speak to you. I'm going to end the screen now. And thank you so much, because I feel like a lot of people wanted to hear about the Lakelands, to be honest, because it's such a different and extreme event, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess that's it. I'm actually so thankful. I've been trying to find someone to interview about Lakelands for about 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah. Well, I hope I've answered people's questions, but if people come on your post afterwards and have a question, happy to answer it. And obviously same for you, you know, if you want to message me any other questions you can think about. And I mean, this is from the layman's point of view, if you like, because like I say, I'm not an elite runner, you know. I'm just me. I'm just you, you know. I'm just everyone out there who's got the same nerves and the same concerns and the same issues. So yeah, if I can help anyone out with any answers to any questions, I'm happy to do that. And
I feel like it's really nice to hear about people who are not extreme athlete, elite people, because we need to normalize that it is hard work. It's not easy and stuff like that. It is, and you can't take it lightly. I mean, you know, and when I did the Lakeland 50, I probably thought, I should be able to do the 100. It's a big step to do the 100. I can imagine. I'm not going to take that away from it, and maybe I didn't give that enough consideration, but I don't know. But you know, I have been back, and I've done it since. The first 32 miles as well is meant to be a lot harder than the rest of the course. You've got some tough climbs, and like I say, you know, the first 32 miles, obviously you've got a few hours of daylight, but then the rest of that's in the dark. But I tell you what, if the weather is nice, you cannot beat seeing the sunrise. I can imagine. I bet there's some absolutely beautiful aesthetic sights. You do. And you're running in such a lovely part of the world that should lift everyone's spirits as they're going around, even if they are struggling. Right, so I'm going to end the live stream now. But you should be still on to me. Okay.